Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of EduMatch. So, if you're seeing this video, then that means it's been pre-recorded, and we are sharing the link with you on Twitter. So, follow along on Twitter with the hashtag EduMatch. I see that some of you are jumping in right now and engaging with the tweets. So, awesome, awesome, awesome. And if you're interested in being the featured person of the day, then check out our website at edumatch.org. So today we have a double header. This is the very first part of it. Tonight, or this morning, I should say, that we're going to be talking about hashtag Get to ISTE. So here on panel with me are William Jenkins, who is kind of the brains behind the operation, and Marialice Curran, who is an awesome the founder of the DigSit movement on Twitter. So definitely wanted to welcome you all and have you introduce yourself. So I guess we'll start first with William. If you could just please tell us a little bit about yourself. William?
Hi, thank you very much. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for the invite. Great to be here. I'm William. I've been in EdTech startup for the last 13 years, and what's fascinated me has been the way technology and ideas roll out. I've had experience with traditional sales, with cold calling, emailing people, and I'm now looking at the more welcome approach of inbound marketing, social selling, and collaborating and co-creating with educators. And I've worked on a number of projects that have rolled out quite successfully with limited or no budget, but lots of collaboration with educators.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, William. And Marialice, if you could please introduce yourself.
Marialice Curran on Twitter. It's all these crazy initials, MBFXC. And for the last 10 years, I've been a faculty member working with teachers in a school of education, trying to make connections for teacher candidates, really to go beyond, break down classroom walls and connect, on a global level. And so really excited about today because, the fact that the three of us have been, PLN members for so long, but that we were actually IRL in January, this past January, in the UK, just makes me really happy because to me, this just speaks about the volume of, the importance of being connected and how these connections, really further you personally and professionally.
Absolutely, absolutely. We had such a blast at the DigSit Summit UK, and definitely it was a fantastic time. So just wanted to go ahead and start the conversation off. So what exactly is Get to ISTE? What is that program about?
Yeah, Get to ISTE. For the last 3 years, I've listened very carefully to what educators have been saying. I've looked to curate data from ISTE and EdChat. And 2 or 3 years ago, one moderator said, "I'm not able to get to ISTE this year because of costs." And what I did is I looked at ways for educators to get crowdfunding from suppliers and things like that, and we were very successful with that with Derek Parson at the UK at the UK Digital Citizenship Summit, and that passion for curating information. Last 3 years I've tried to curate ISTE data. I've used Excel sheets. I looked at North at one point, and at 2015 a platform called Declare went live a couple of months before ISTE. It looked really, really promising. This year I started exploring it in the run-up to ISTE, and it just looks like a fantastic platform for curating information and helping educators to share content and find one another to establish events like the UK Digital Citizenship Summit.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Marialice, what has been your experience? I know that you've been also doing a lot of work behind the scenes in terms of rallying people. So what has been your experience?
Well, to tag on to the hashtag with William, we've been hashtag ISTE16 Pirates, and we've been exploring specifically looking at the platform Declara as a way to co-create, co-collaborate, crowdsource resources for ISTE. And so specifically, we've been looking at, because it's important to me, digital citizenship, and then there's that ISTE PLN, our DigSit PLN through ISTE, and how we can, look at really connecting and collaborating with sessions and speakers, like before the event, during the event, after the event, and really make it more meaningful. So we've been working behind the scenes and trying to get a little momentum with that hashtag. But it's also it ties right into Get to ISTE, and it's really I feel like for the DigCit Summit UK, that was like the first time that I really got to collaborate with William and saw the value of doing this together, and what he does to support educators. And so this is just another great run, because ISTE is, gosh, like the conference that I don't want to miss, and it's so incredible, but it's overwhelming as well. And so how do I make the most out of my experience before I get there, while I'm there, and then afterwards? And Declare is that platform with these collections that really give you this opportunity to build community.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. It is a great platform and a great way to curate resources. So that is fantastic. So I'm going to ask you all a question that we came up with together beforehand. Actually, this came from William's survey that he put out. So if people have not already done so, then William, I know that you have a survey where you're trying to collect information. Would you be able to share that link with us on Twitter with the hashtag EduMatch?
Yep. I'll share there's two surveys, one for educators and one for suppliers. So share both of those on the hashtag.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. So this is one question adapted from that survey. How do you all feel that presenters can seize opportunities to co-create sessions with other educational stakeholders?
Yeah, well, I'll start with that. Everything that I'm looking to do with Declare, I've achieved on a very small scale elsewhere, and with yourself, Sarah, the South by Southwest event was coming up, and I shared some resources for the DigCit event, for the South by Southwest event, and I think those were quite useful for you. And I thought, well, it's not just the presenter that's got any great ideas or great links, and I wondered, Marialice has got her DigCit presentation, and I wondered if we crowdsourced policies and best practice, what would that add to the presentation? Would there be articles there that the presenters were not aware of? Would there be articles there that would add value to the session? And also, through co-creating with people who are not at ISTE and attendees, I think you could have a richer experience at the event when you go up and introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm Mrs. Miggins, and I shared this article with you. There's a different connection and a different kind of conversation that potentially could be had there.
I just want to add on to that, like, it just really makes it personal, and like just what William had just been talking about. How powerful would that be for the digital citizenship, community, the PLN, to be able to crowdsource these ed tech policies? Sometimes I feel like we're just working in silos, and to be able to merge and and have an opportunity to really collaborate and in a really thoughtful and meaningful way, to look at how other people are doing it in their communities. And I would feel, I'm a presenter, but as an attendee, from an attendee's perspective, I would feel so invested that my voice actually matters, and like what I'm doing in my community can contribute in a larger way, and that while I'm at the session, we can continue this conversation, and then after ISTE, when we're back in our communities. In fact, William, what was the quote? Because there's a great quote from that you've been using from ISTE last year, and it was like from a keynote. And now
Josh's one before. Yeah, Josh said the closing keynote. He said on the way back to normal life, let's not lose the enthusiasm and excitement that we've had at ISTE. And when there's 149,000 tweets and everybody kind of sharing resources at the same time, and I think this is one of the questions that may be coming up. Have people dipped into those resources? Have they found a way to organise and curate them in a meaningful way that has meant they've been able to take some of those ideas into the classroom. Now, I'm not at ISTE, I haven't presented, but I have followed for the last 3 years, and I have not found a way to meaningfully organise all that data in a way that it's there when you need it, but not as a collection of 7,000 articles that you just can't make sense of.
Right, absolutely. Yes, curating those resources is very important. Especially after the fact when we go back and put them into effect in our classrooms and in our educational settings. So absolutely. So the time is starting to come up upon us, but I wanted to definitely throw it back to you all to see if you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with anyone who's watching currently.
My closing thoughts would be: we've got this platform, we've got this space. The team are so responsive to any comments that you've got, but unless we're able to co-create with educators, unless we can get people into following collections, adding insights, getting involved with the private channels, and creating discussions, the impact is going to be a lot less limited than if we had speakers, presenters, these nowadays people joining news forums of passionate and having a discussion and seeing where those discussions to.
And if I was going to add anything, I'm going to say that, learning's a two-way street. And, I always love as an educator that I view myself as a learner alongside my students. But to be able to do this in this platform and to work with somebody like William, it's a two-way street between supporting suppliers and supporting educators. And if we're really, our ultimate goal is to help students, this is just a great opportunity to be able to be involved in this conversation, and really I feel like Cocreating and their team are so open to any suggestions that from an educator standpoint, what we'd like to see, how we would like to use this tool. And I'm really happy that those lines of communication are open and collaborative, rather than how it can tend to be when we go into that expo center, whether it's at ISTE or whatever conference. So I just wanted to add that last, sentiment about that it behooves us to collaborate with as many stakeholders as possible so we can merge these silos and we can ultimately do what's best for all students everywhere.
Absolutely, and that's definitely what it boils down to, doing what we can together to help our students in any way possible. So this is just a great initiative. So I would like to thank you both for being on panel today. So definitely wanted to thank everyone who has been participating on the Twitter chat. Great conversation going on, great tips with the hashtag EduMatch. So this video will be available shortly later on today, and it will also be available as an iTunes podcast in the coming weeks. In addition, the Twitter chat will be archived and tweeted out in just a little bit. So we will be having a Twitter chat / Google Hangout in the next 40 minutes about diversity in terms of keynotes, featured speakers, and panelists. So if anyone sees this prior to that, we would love to have you on at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, I believe we will be taking a break for ISTE, but the week after that, we'll be coming back fast and furious. So thank you again, and everyone have a fantastic day.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.